The Lookism Busan arc was definitely something. We're introduced to the man himself, the wolf Jinrang, right away, alongside James Lee claiming that he wants to create a society without any evil, and that Charles Choi isn't dead, in the sense that there's various remnants of what he's created, for example the 4 crews and all the other business related stuff. Perhaps this was actually some foreshadowing that Charles Choi is alive for an upcoming reveal, but no new information in regards to that thus far throughout recent Lookism events. We have James Lee concerned that the King of Busan could become the next Charles Choi, who as we see is talking to Gi-tae Kim. These two are allied, with the actual allied preparing to, I guess, collapse all of Busan, which they tend to do right away. All for the purpose of finding the recently released and taking out Jinrang the Wolf himself, alongside various other character introductions and huge glow ups for all the boys throughout this arc as well. Pretty cool stuff, and does highlight how we've entered another stage of Lookism with the imprisonment of Gun as well. But the newly introduced characters could have skills on par or even better than the Generation 1 Kings, with some of them showing up in this arc as well, to actually get that comparison alongside the common trend of James Lee PTSD, more characters that he's defeated in the past, that being 90% of the relevant newly introduced ones. Crazy stuff. But the key one he did not get a chance to face was the wolf himself, who's on his way to the battlefield while all this insanity is occurring in its own right. Another monster who was above the kings we've seen thus far. But a question on everyone's mind is, how strong is Daniel Park now in his perfect body? A claim actually brought up by James Lee during their conversation, and also points out that since Gun's spot is vacant, Daniel may be the one to fill it. In the sense, he has what it takes to become a legend, what James Lee himself is recognized as, and maybe even Gun as well, considering the way James spoke about him, which is of course great stuff to see. Now, during the build-up battles, we already get Daniel compared to other monsters such as James Lee and Jinrang, who's making his way to the battlefield. But we've already been demonstrated that all the boys part of Allied have improved to an insane degree due to, of course, their past and continued training in recent Lookism. But now it's time for the wolf himself to demonstrate what he's truly capable of, and pure insanity, one-shotting these two with no problem at all, taking on 2 kings at the same time. Then of course Daniel Park with him going absolutely in, while James Lee had previously came to the assumption that his combat strength is the top among the first generation kings, which based on his performance so far is indeed the case. However, that leads us into the big twists we got throughout the arc. A certain trader who has his own goals, all things considered. Daniel actually not being on James Lee's side to any degree, not trusting him and still believing that there's much more to Charles Choi's death and the scheming of James Lee as well, resulting in more twists and, I guess, side changes, with James Lee now recognizing Daniel as an enemy. Huge moments leading into the future of the Lookism story, particularly this panel. But outside of the continued fights, 2 more certain individuals arrive in Busan as well. We have Gu and Gi-tae Kim, meaning shit is about to go even more wild. Apart from that, we have Jinrang threatening James Lee. We have Daniel wanting to form an alliance with Busan. And then we have the demon himself arriving directly on the battlefield. The son of Gabrion Kim versus the student of Gabrion Kim. And to provide a reminder to anyone within the Lookism fandom who doubts Gitei's insane strength, he manages to one-shot some of the allied members and force Daniel to say, "This man is the toughest opponent I've fought yet." Does that include everyone Daniel's faced in the past? Potentially, as he's using everything at his disposal to fight him. And as we see here, bro is still getting clapped. The argumentation for him to be the current top of the verse is indeed growing by a large margin at this point. But then we get the battle between the wolf and I guess the axe demon, what I'm going to call him, which we get to see in full display once again. He's able to dominate in the battle. We see him going for the kill over and over. We get the flashback of the Busan boys and of course the connection to Gabriel and Kim as well. Rage coming out to the utmost degree, which does result in a, I guess, close fight between these two. But once the murderous intent and the axe comes out again, people are dying, people are losing limbs. We literally have Jake pull up to talk to his brother and try and stop him alongside setting up their future battle as well. We have the police showing up to stop the insanity that's occurring, which also connects to something set up by James Lee on the back end as well. Gitei Kim is literally a force of nature based on what he's demonstrated throughout the Busan arc. And all things considered, is a villain unlike anything else we've seen in the story thus far. Based on this, his willingness and monstrous nature when it comes to killing. But coming back to James Lee, he reveals that he needs Daniel Park due to his two bodies, something interesting to be explored, and announces that he will be entering politics in the same vein as Gabriel Kim in the past as well. So very interesting stuff awaits us for the future of Lookism. We have the aftermath of Jin Rang after, of course, losing some of his friends due to Gitei in this arc, and of course his own arm as well. And Daniel Park recognizing that a new war is indeed coming. The next stage of the story, where the main ones to take out is James Lee, or I would say right now Gitei Kim, who seems to be getting even more focus based on the latest Lookism chapter. So as a whole, the Busan arc was absolutely wild and a great read. Definitely an upgrade from recent arcs of memory, with a lot of cool and interesting lore about certain characters introduced. The new characters were decent, and of course the insanity of James and Gitei in combination with the fights as well. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on the arc. This playlist on screen right now has all the Lookism content I've uploaded on the channel, check it out. And of course, shout out to these members, the absolute mad lads.